Hello and welcome to my channel, Tamanon's TCGs. Today we are going to open up 2 full cases of Dissonance Diva. That is right, 2 full cases. You can see these boxes right here. Dissona, its meaning derived from dissonance, a inharmonious relationship. This new world, presented in WIXOSS Set 12, Dissonance Diva, is a merging of the traditional Japanese and European Gothic horror aesthetic. The set actually introduces a new rarity type, the SP, which will be shown in the video, so stick around to the end. As you can see from the box, it has many returning fan favorite characters. As per usual, each box contains one of these token sheets where you can hook out all the tokens that you'll need to play with the abilities within the set. And each box has a Valentine's box topper, like Hanyao here, that contains a chocolatey smell. I've eaten at least half of those open. A little note, don't eat your cards. I've been helped with some lore this episode by Selector Mochi, who has been translating Diva lore for some time, and translations can be found in the description below. Now, some of this lore is that the area of the world has many Signi in a Japanese-Western fusion, whose appearance were born from this new world. This is because of the Unknown, a Signi whose appearance matches Ruko, the main selector in Infected and Spread series, who suddenly arrives in WIXOSS Land at the same time the fusion world of Dissona appeared. The management of WIXOSS Land declared her the cause of this unknown incident, and urged their divas to capture Ruko. When the divas entered the Dissona world, their appearance and outfits warped to the same Japanese-Western fusion, allowing the divas to fit in with the confines of the dissonance. From a play point of view, this means everything in the set shares a really cool stylistic resemblance, and are obviously from the same world and set. This isn't something I've seen in WIXOSS prior, where an entire set is arranged to look like it's from a specific world, and it definitely shows the worldview matching. Personally, I love it, and I hope that they continue to do this thematic set kind of thing going forwards. Each of the divas who entered Dissona also gained a new partner Signi. It's assumed they were born of the Signi from different areas, but warped by the setting of Dissona. As these partner Signi were originally from various factions, they're not all on the best terms with each other. A Signi in WIXOSS, of course, is the signature of a Lyrig, a summoned spirit formed from the manifestations of the Lyrig experiences before becoming cardboard. Partner Signi seem to represent a very close memory tie to the Lyrig itself. Now, WIXOSS Land Management had assumed that the unknown Ruko was the cause of the dissonance forming the Dissona world, dispatching every Lyrig to capture her. The reward would be any wish they could want. Because so many Lyrig wanted the wish, Dissona became flooded with diva battles, all according to WIXOSS Land Management plans. But at the same time, Dr. Tamago had other plans, researching how the Signi and memories could be used to turn Lyrigs into Signi, to fight alongside one another. As you can see here, it kind of looks like Tama's turning a little hot topic-y, right? Thanks to Mochi, linked below, I have the abridged and some other lore stories. Doing things a bit differently, I'll be reading these while you get to enjoy the pulls. Please stick around through the end for some money shots of the shiny cardboard. I've spiced it up a bit so it's not 1-1 the translation overall, but I think it reads a little bit nicer for while we're going through. And like I said at the end, and even maybe sprinkled throughout here, there are some really cool pulls like URs, SRPs, LRPs, etc. So without further ado, I think I'll begin. Chapter 1, Dissonance in Diva. Time. It flows without notice until it is too late. The past seems faster than the present, the future looming ahead uneasily. Unknown amounts of time have come and gone since Tama and the others arrived in WIXOSS Land. In the time, they've become friends, enemies, cohorts with the divas, participating in many diva battles. While these days have become normal, Tama and the Lyrigs from outside Diva still yearn for a way to return home, to their world and the selectors awaiting them. They have heard whispers, faint as they may be, of a clue to return, the masterpiece. In the shadows has lurked Iona, watching Tama and the others from afar. She has accepted that Tama's place is beside Ruko, and continues to support Tama from the shadows. Iona understands that the most important thing is to return Tama to Ruko, so that they can be together. Although some minor progress appears to have been made by the others, the outlook is very unfavorable. Being alone, Iona decides to act. Her isolation has made it easier for her to move about. Tama, Hanyo, and Midoriko have been battling together as a team since arriving at that time ago in WIXOSS land. While Tama enjoys the Bataru, it is a lonely feeling to do so without Ruko by her side. After an exhaustive Diva battle with Prirlik's team, Prirlik has joined in Diva with Rill and Mel. Prirlik shows a flyer to Tama's team announcing the 2 new areas of WIXOSS land that are going to be opening. One is set to become a Japanese-themed, while the other a Western Gothic horror. Surprisingly, there appears a feature where Signy can be materialized and even interact with those divas utilizing them, unknown to the WIXOSS land diva selectors. Despite Prirlik's best efforts, this news barely excites Tama, who is still very down. Mel and the rest of the team attempts to comfort her, talking about how cool and exciting the battles in the new areas will be. However, Tama's forlorn expression speaks enough for them to understand. A troubled thought came to Prirlik, who was once the plaything of Mayo's White Room. Could it be that the battles in WIXOSS land were the reason the former Larigs were sent to this new dimension of WIXOSS land in the first place? Is there something hidden here? Tama walks alone, her head down. The teams, unable to cheer her up, go their separate ways. Tama begins to think that maybe it's okay to just enjoy the diva battles for what they are. Walking through an unfamiliar path, a fan recognizes Tama, having followed her diva battles. The single fan grows in size to many as a crowd forms around, making her very uncomfortable. Forcefully prying the growing fan crowd apart, she runs down the streets, this way and that, before finding herself alone in a quiet alley. Sitting down, she buries her face in her arms, hugging her knees. Tama begins to cry. "Ru, I want to go home. I want to see you again." Meanwhile, Nanashi and Remember went to check the 2 new WIXOSS land areas. Going along the luckiest path, as Remember foretold by her fortune-telling, they find themselves on a very different place. It's difficult for them to see behind or ahead, this kind of thick fog rolling around. Somewhere up ahead has become kind of fuzzy, distorted. It doesn't look correct, like a space that shouldn't exist within the confines of that area. A faint voice comes from that wavering place. Tama's low cries. Then all hell breaks loose as the space itself lights up. Remember and Nanashi, surprised, take a quick step back as the light grows ever larger. Out of the light, a girl they recognize begins to take shape. Nanashi, delighted something interesting had happened. Remember, thinking immediately that she could once again be reunited with Kyoe to play again. That's Prirlik, by the way. They turn and look at each other, before retreating, thinking it may be too dangerous to stay next to the light for the time being. Alarms ring throughout the WIXOSS Land Administration Office. The staff could not comprehend what was being witnessed. The 2 new areas they had spent so long curating had begun fusing into one. This new area was not supposed to exist. Chapter 2. Diva in Dissonance. While the divas had prior been excited for the 2 new areas, the emergency broadcast changed everything. The new areas had disappeared. They had been fused into a single area and began fusing even more. Displaying the fusing areas together, the divas looked at their screens, seeing tidbits of what was to come. Looming Japanese-themed buildings emitting a dark, eerie atmosphere. Slightly still rivers, moonlight, dark clouds, red lanterns, and billowing green fog. WIXOSS Land Administration was quick to name the area Dissona, which means dissonance, and dubbed any Signy born from the strangest event Dissona Signy, kind of like the cards we're looking at right now. The admins also hypothesized that the mysterious Dissona Signy may be behind the error fusing the worlds, and showed a Signy with the appearance of Ruko. Tama, tears still in her eyes, face flushed, was suddenly filled with a hope. Springing to action, she ran towards the fusion as fast as she possibly could in order to see Ruko. Pirlik tells Hanyo and Midoriko to follow Tama, worried what would happen to her, but couldn't get to her due to the crowd that Tama had escaped from just minutes prior. The admins report that the mysterious Ruko-like Signy has been dubbed Unknown, and management has prepared a special open event, the Unknown Capture Quest. Meanwhile, somewhere in Dr. Tamago's laboratory, she complains to Nova and Bang that management is making a dangerous decision letting divas become involved in such an unstable situation. Bang notes that this is said while Tamago takes a monster's paw full of snacks, chomping on down. With management offering whatever the winner of the Unknown Capture Quest wants, Dr. Tamago suspects that the admins are trying to seem in control of this unexpected fusing of the would-be two new areas that are now one, and keep morale high. Dr. Tamago feels somewhat responsible considering the Signy materialization technique was developed by her in the first place. Deciding she will find out more on her own, she calls the other girls in just in case they might do something a little rash. Looking towards the screen monitoring the situation, she hopes things will be resolved shortly. Tama, still on the run towards Ruko, slips past the staff and enters into the mysterious land now known as Dissonance. Stopping to catch her breath, she sees Ruko through the fog. Ruko glances at Tama, before turning away and running into the darkness. Tama follows, chasing her first, before slowing down and eventually stopping. Something feels very off, very wrong. Hanyo and Midoriko finally catching up to Tama, breathing heavy from the chase. They ask Tama if she saw Ruko. Tama, forlorn, glances down. That's not Ruko, she cries. Tama knowing Ruko best, the three leave Dissonance, meeting up with Pirlik and the others. Hanyo and the rest agree to enter the event in order to know more about this unknown that looks like Ruko and what she really is. However, Tama knows that unknown will be captured and analyzed if so, and she resembles Ruko, so Tama is not willing to let this happen. Pirlik, trying to calm Tama down, but Tama just lets out a harrowing screech as her body begins to shift. That Ruko was born from Tama's bad side because Tama couldn't do her best. That Ruko was born. Her body begins to warp, changing color to gray, then black. The others quickly realize it is the same corruption that had once taken hold of Tama's heart through the evil doings of Ulith and showing the darkness within Tama. They gently assure Tama that not all hope is lost, that she could still do something, and she begins to calm down, not completely lost to the darkness as she once was, but changed in some way. Dissonance had warped it into something new. Iona, watching from afar, began to wonder. She had gone to Dissonance as she was curious prior and followed Tama. She had seen the unknown. She thinks to herself that if Tama can't have the real Ruko, perhaps this unknown Ruko could stand by her instead? And she knows to be the next Ruko, this unknown must be full of hope. She starts to feel different. Iona starts to feel this dissonance stirring inside, this hopeful determination bubbling to the surface. Slowly, her body changes to sparkling white, the color of Yuki. Remembering appearing behind, the Iona turned Yuki, tells Yuki she also has someone she wishes to be with, and gives her the temptation that with the capture quest announcement, soon Dissonance will disappear, and with it the unknown Ruko, and Tama's chance at one happiness and Diva. They must do what they must to prevent the unknown from being captured. Remember slinks back into the night of Dissonance, rejoining Nanashi, excited that she would soon be able to play with Kioi again. Pirlik and the others gather in front of the event counter, waiting for their entry to Dissonance to be approved. Initially they were excited, thinking it would be fun, but after what happened with Tama, things are looking a lot more serious. With hopeful hearts but a serious expression, they change into their Dissonance outfits and charge into Dissonance. Now a quest has begun which mixes various hopes, wishes, and speculation. WIXOSS land, who are trying to keep everyone distracted with a hype event. Divas that want their wish granted from them for the reward. And Tama, who wants to protect the unknown. Yuki, who wants to be with Ruko for her own reasons. Nanashi, who simply wishes to enjoy the chaos of the situation. And remember, who really wants to play with pure luck again. If you know, you know. And well, that's the first 2 chapters of Dissonance Diva. I altered it a bit to read slightly more interesting, and you can find the 1-for-1 at the links below. If you liked me reading this lore dump, please let me know below, because it certainly helps me fill some time with cracking packs. Look, we're already like 16 minutes in. I'm gonna be honest, it's something I've pointed out quite a few times. When I open packs, I'm just going through them. Usually I even have TV on in the background or something, so trying to figure out exactly what to talk about besides, ooh, shiny, look at Ruko here, whoa, it's an unknown memory. And it's a little bit of a challenge. So I thought I'd do this a little differently now, and it is a little bit out of my comfort zone, so I hope you enjoyed that segment. And moving on to the cards themselves, I've been going through this. You've already seen some really pretty LRP of the Miko Miko there, and I adore this set. I had mentioned it a little bit earlier. However, this mix of gothic horror, Japanese traditional aesthetic, I have been referring it to WIXOSS's Innistrad in a way. I absolutely love it. I'm glad we're getting 2 sets of this. I hope that we return to this world in the future as well. And more than that, just playing the set the past couple weeks, it's a really fun set to play. Yes, it's a little bit parasitic in the design, but on the plus side, if you are a new player trying to onboard new players to your locals who maybe have never even touched WIXOSS before, this is an amazing set to get them involved in. You have so many very interesting decks you can build, despite the shells being very similar. So say 2 friends pick up a box each. You know, one person likes this Miko Miko here. Somebody wants more aggro, so they pick up Hanyao. And you can just trade the couple cards that you're missing, and you're going to have pretty much full decks. And on top of that, you have these lovely, lovely chocolate cards here. And I think the biggest surprise, besides that, you know, there's so many, how do I put this? There's so many options when you're deck building in this set. I know that they lifted the color restriction, which is a whole nother ball game. You know, if you haven't heard yet, you no longer have to only play the colors that your assists are. You can go wild with it. You can run, you know, a random black card in your green-white deck, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. And I think that's really cool. It opens up a lot of very interesting brews. I know some people at locals are doing some really interesting things, like a friend who he's been brewing Angels for forever, and he's giddy with excitement because now he can just jam all the ones he was otherwise locked to before. And with the Dissonance cards, you have a lot of different decks that, again, they have a lot of the same cards, but they feel very different in playstyle, which I think goes to show in this game how important your Lurig choices are for how the deck will actually end up playing in the end, which I think is very different from pretty much any other card game that I've played, where you can have almost the same pile but it plays completely different just because of your main choice of the Lurig. Of course, I've been testing out the Dissonance Black Tama. Very, very interesting. I've tried a couple different brews with her. All that I've really been enjoying is the fact that she can just eat the entire board all the time. She has some pretty interesting protections with making everything in your enter black. And there's a lot of like trash recursion. I know people had been playing the Wub Tama for a while, which had also topped really well in the first GP, where you basically ran her, the original White Tama, as a control list. I think you're going to see stuff very similar to that with the Dissonance one, but a lot more removal. But on this flip side, you also have a lot more options this set, like the Sunspot memory card that just creates Signy barriers and Lurig barriers. So the aggro might not go through. Like, you can clear an entire board, but still, you know, come back pretty easily. I think we're getting a really nice push and pull going on. Of course, I did play against a Hanyo that just double crushed and assassined and whatnot, and that is a very scary deck. And I'm still playing around with it. I don't pretend to be a top player or anything, but I think that a lot of people at their locals are going to have a blast just, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And everyone seems very excited, again, not for the Dissonance cards themselves, but to be able to change up their decks with kind of wherever direction they've wanted to for so long, but been stuck within their color restrictions. Anyway, for the next little while, I think I'm just going to let some light music play, let you guys relax, watch some pack opening. There are quite a few cards. At a certain part, I do kind of start just going through the commons really fast and just kind of showing off the shinies. And I do get some really amazing hits, honestly, in these two cases. So maybe I'll see you when I get to those parts, alright? Not to scare you, but this is a Tama. Of course, I'm going to freak out a little bit and put it towards the camera. I adore all of the Tama art this set. I think the Hot Topic weeb looking Tama here is perfect. I love the fiery flame kimono hanging off of her billowy arm things. Yeah, just a really big fan this set of all the gold. I mean, I always am, but like the ninjas with like the gold weapons and whatnot, it just works. It works really good. The gold on the green, the gold on the purple, the gold on the white, it just all looks amazing. On the table, up close, all around. WIXOSS foiling is the best in the business. I don't care what anyone says. Now we've already seen a couple of this. I run 4 of this in the Tama Dissonance. I'm also a big fan of this art. It's a really cool card. You get to mill, basically acts a different hand, and then you get to bring back whatever level 3 you need to mess up the game. So I really like it. It's cool looking. Oh, and here's my SRP. Love this gold here. Had a hard time getting to focus, but once I did, you can really see how really cool and shiny it is. Just look at that. Like, they really put a lot of thought into where they put that extra bit of gold flare going on. And look at Hanyo. Look at this, like some kind of 1920s gothic horror looking, you know, it's just really cool. She got a little rope there, this like gold thing of flowers that she's holding. You can see the texture on it. Really beautiful art. And I love this, like you can see this texture going on in the background of all of her cards, of like this filigree that's like in there on the foil. Really lovely. I think that the Hanyo people are getting some of the best foiling design in this set. And here you can see again what I mean by like that filigree in the back, the roses, the gold whip with like the flowers. Really pretty cards for Hanyo going on. Just the entire aesthetic is a very interesting and beautiful kind of aesthetic going on. And of course, there's sometimes where you get a card where you're like, right, this is WIXOSS, the Bishoujo girl game. And LR Tama, Burning Darkness Miko. Such a chunny name. I've been referring to her as my Hot Topic Tama around the shop, just because that's funny to me, and I think it works perfectly. She definitely has that kind of vibe of Molgoth. These gold flakes that are like flames within her, like flaming robe coming from the fan, just absolutely gorgeous, and I love this like smug kind of like laughing aura she gives off. Now, I did actually open up a box at my local game store because I was impatient when I first got my cases. My pulls were this LR, and of course I got some bangs and other SRs. And I got a lot of Hanyo and Miko, I feel like, within these. And you know what, I'm not even complaining. Like, look at that texture going on there. Like, can you think of any other card game that does something that looks that good? Like, I can't really think of any, at least not recently. Now, of course, while going through these, every once in a while, if I open up the Tama, I had to get my chocolate fix on, you know? You need to take a break, get a little snack, right? And just like we learned in the Dissonance chapters, Yuki became the savage Miko, turned away from her darkness to this savage light. And it really reflects in this kind of like fighting stance she's got with like the magic popping off. Like she's a white card, but you definitely still feel some of that like, I guess it's not really evil, but you know what I'm trying to say. And of course, I'm going to stop whenever I open up another Tama. I adore her entire line in art this time. Very, actually, I like it a lot more than the original Dark Tama that they did. I think the outfit is a lot cuter, and the art in general just kind of like has a different kind of vibe to it. And this, of course, is the big hit of the cases, the Yuki UR. This art, also being gorgeous, has that beautiful signature. I kind of love how they made it like this purple color, and with that gold in the background, it just really looks really nice. I didn't even notice till just now, like the kind of blue on the bottom for it. Yeah, just kind of have to take a moment to really appreciate that. And oh boy, this was a hit that I really wanted to get, which is the LRP, which is the signature version of the normal LR Tama level 3. Really happy to have pulled this so I didn't have to buy it. And that gold just, it always looks good, right? And what's funny is that I actually have a PSA 10 that I had graded already for my trip to Japan last year. And when the set had come out in Japan last April, I'd actually picked it up. And I'm pretty happy now that I got both. My other SRP case hit is this Yuzuki Dissonance Dragon Queen. Dragon type. Got that really pretty signature. And look how like flowing that gold is in the butterflies. It's honestly gorgeous with like that lantern that is just giving off like this glow with everything popping out of it. Really, really cool. Makes me wish that these cards had the lore and flavor text that the Japanese ones have. I know that Mochi's been translating some of them. I do hope that in the future that maybe Takara Tomy thinks about putting them back on the cards. And the very last pack, yes, the last pack out of 2 cases worth. This took me like 4 hours to go through. I hope you enjoyed watching. So here's something a little special at the end. These are some cards I didn't pull, but I was lucky enough to either trade or buy from people for. The first one I really wanted was this LRP Unknown Memory. It is such a good port of the story. You get to see Dissonance in the back. You get to see Ruko there, or the unknown, not Ruko, kind of coming into fruition. And the other piece that I really wanted was this LRP Sunspot Memory. This is one of my favorite pieces of art in the game. Tama becoming the Dark Tama. It has what's really interesting, her original signature on it. The signature you can find on her white cards instead of the signature you find on the Dissonance ones. And we have the Tama line. Now, these are just gorgeous cards in general. So, while we go through this, I just want to say, thank you for watching. I hope it was enjoyable. I'll be opening up some Japanese sets for P24 Recollect Selector sometime next month. It has a bunch of the original OG rigs in it as well. It's part of like the 10th anniversary Loth, whatever set. And I'm super stoked for it. Kind of bad for my WIXOSS heart to have so much excitement going on all at the same time in April here with Dissonance in English and the new White Tama in Japanese. But it is really fun to be keeping up with all of it. And I'm so excited to show off the last 2 cards here, just because of how absolutely gorgeous they are. And what's fun here is that you can see the minute differences between the LR and the LRP with the signature. And like I said, you notice that the signature on the Tama Burning Darkness Miko is different than her white counterpart card, which kind of shows like her change in personality, you know what I mean? And I like those little, like, they thought it through. They could have just put the same stamp on, but they decided to give her a completely different signature, which I really appreciate that they put that thought into. Now, this is absolutely gorgeous. The foiling on this, on the UR, this is the UR Tama. I've been wanting this since it came out in Japanese. Super, super happy to own it. The foiling in person, like, these pictures, are beautiful, but honestly, nothing does the WIXOSS foils justice, because every little bit of light that hits them shows the different textures and foiling techniques that they put into them in the various colors, and they're just so darn nice looking, on top of just the already really beautiful artwork that's on the cards in the first place. And I think it is literally the best that you can find in the biz. And moving into the best you can find in the biz, this card here, which is one that I've been searching for, I'm very happy to have found. This is the SP. This foiling is amazing. These were serials in Japan, which means in Japan there was only 7 of them. It's an SP in English, and quite a few more than 7 have already been accounted for. We're still not really sure how many exactly there are. They seem to be possibly less rare than the question marks, but more rare than the UR. So there's not really any official information, just, it says on the box that you have the chance of getting one, right? But the foiling on it is so cool. Here, I'm going to pick it up and show you. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.